What's up everyone, MK Tom Brady here. In this video I want to look at a couple of opinions here on the game so far and kind of see where we are. So this really isn't even an opinion. It's oftentimes said that Mortal Kombat 11 is the most balanced MK or NRS game in general that they've ever made. And this is true. There's no such thing as perfect balance unless every single character is the same, and certainly nobody wants that. But in general, I would say for a fighting game, there's a good level of overall balance to this game. Now, obviously, as I look around the select screen here, there are obviously bad matchups in this game, and there's going to be bad matchups in pretty much every game. But in general, this game has probably the least amount of bad matchups by quite a large margin of any Mortal Kombat game or probably any NRS game ever made. So really, they've given people what they wanted when it comes to balance. But then the other side to that is people say, well, we have no creativity. The characters are very bland. The game is boring. Obviously not everyone says that. There are still plenty of people who enjoy the game. There's no such thing as all or every in pretty much anything. Different people are going to have different opinions. But it's the majority opinion, I think, it's safe to say at this point, is that, we're ready for a change. And besides changes to the overall game system, people would like characters to be a little more diverse in what they do. And this is where it gets interesting. And so you see people, they understand, look, more character archetypes makes for a better fighting game. It makes for more creativity. Whether you want to have characters heavy on the defensive side or on the offensive side, and there are different ways to do this. You can be a zoner, you can be a keep away character, you can be a rushdown character with pressure or with 50-50s. You can be a trapper, you can be a setup character, you can be a grappler. There are all kinds of characters that do things on both the offensive, defensive, and sometimes right in the middle of that spectrum. And it really opens up a lot of the skill sets that other people may have. It makes the game more entertaining to watch. And in some instances, it makes it boring to watch based on, the character archetypes playing each other. But also what it does is, while it's very creative, and obviously we would want characters who are not as stripped down in what they do. So characters that have a lot of options, who kind of play by these archetypes. And that's kind of what people want. But see, here's the downside to that. The perfect cornucopia of balance in which people have complained about will now go out the window. But there are two forms of bad matchups. There is a bad matchup that is just unfair. For example, Cyrex and MK9. Cyrex is going to 7-3 you or worse because in that matchup, the way the two kind of match up, he's going to get 1,000 more opportunities than you, and when he hits you once, the match is over. Cyrex is the perfect example of an MK9 of what makes a 7-3 matchup unfair. But all 7-3s or 6-4s are not created equally. And obviously we want to tone down on some of the 7-3s and as many as the 6-4s as possible. And if a perfect world, every match would be 5-5. We don't live in a perfect world, and fighting games are just a mirror of the world we live in. The world is imperfect, and fighting games will be too. But we accept the world's imperfections because nobody wants a world in black and white, where everyone is the same, everyone talks the same, walks the same, thinks the same, eats the same, lives the same. Nobody wants to be forced to live like someone else, and they don't want to be forced to live like us. So we accept the imperfections of the world so we can have our creative choices. We can be ourselves. And any situation in which you have this type of freedom is going to be imperfect and going to have flaws. in any fighting game that gives you back your freedom, gives you back your character diversity, is going to have its flaws. There are going to be bad matchups, not because, oh, it's unfair, but because some character archetypes are just naturally going to be a pain in the ass for others. And we were not willing to accept this as a community, at least most people were not. And NetherRealm, I think, did the only thing you can do. They took your creativity and freedom from you to give you more balance. Now, some of you, like Shao Kahn players who are stuck doing down 1 and down 4 every other move, you want your creativity back. Understandably. I understand that. And I would want my creativity back too. I mean, I'm a Sub-Zero player and I don't like being forced to be ram out 50-50s all day. A lot of characters are very one-dimensional. But when you open up more dimensions to a character and add more archetypes to a game, like I said, there's just going to be those types of situations that, hey, this is really, really hard. But it's not unfair, it's just hard because of the way the archetypes match up. Now, if they do give us some type of patch that overhauls the game, some think they will, some think they're done with the game and, see you next time, whatever the next game they're going to announce is. But if by some miracle we get our creativity back in this game or in the next Mortal Kombat or whatever the title is, I think it's time we accept the imperfections and the flaws that come along with creativity and character diversity. They're much better now with knowing what's unfair and what's just hard to deal with. And I would say, going forward, always remember what it was like when you had no choice, when you had no creativity, when you walked down the Mortal Kombat streets and everyone walked the same and talked the same and looked the same. We all said it was boring. When you get your freedom and creativity back, and I believe inevitably you will, accept what comes along with it, and I think we'll be better off. Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for more content.